This video involves strategy formulation using the grid we've used to develop the generic strategies earlier in this module. As a refresher, the grid just looked like this, with 4 different strategies in each different cell, depending on the competitive advantage and competitive scope desired by the firm. For example, from a low cost perspective, a company can take a cost leadership stance towards the industry or cost focus. Similarly, it can have a differentiation strategy pursuing either one of these differentiation types of strategies. And at the same time, on the horizontal axis is the competitive scope. Could be narrow, could be targeting a niche, that is, or could be targeting a much broader audience. The first of the 4 companies we're going to look at is Gabriel Brothers, and it's a pretty appropriate place to start since it is, or was, founded right here in Morgantown. Now covers a few more states and even incorporates another business into its fold. I took this text that you're going to see right now as a note to vendors that comes from Gabriel Brothers. And this is what they're looking for from their vendors, from their suppliers of clothing. Many of you all have probably been into a Gabriel Brothers and equate it with very low priced clothing, and indeed it is. The website or the list of vendors details that they operate on a limited basis. 102 stores in 11 states. It's a pretty big business, but it is limited in scope in that really Gabriel Brothers is pretty much a mid-Atlantic states type of business, and I think the rugged warehouse extends a little bit further outside of that. But given that they do have a limited focus on these 11 states, they have a deep discount stance towards pricing of all of the clothing in their warehouse. I just blew up and read what's important for this purpose from the vendor statement, and that Gabriel Brothers is also looking for great deals from their vendors. These are people who are looking to sell them clothing. They're looking for lower prices, and typically those low prices are excess inventory, maybe last year's inventory, maybe manufacturing seconds, or even large canceled orders that manufacturers such as Ralph Lauren or Liz Claiborne might not otherwise be able to sell unless they go through an outlet such as Gabriel Brothers. So their focus is clearly on getting low price clothing to a fairly limited area, or its target area. So if you go back and revisit the grid, you'll see that naturally from the supplier focus or the vendor focus, the plea from Gabriel Brothers is, look, we want low cost from you, and then they go into a low pricing strategy with their customers. Now, at the same time, their competitive scope is not worldwide, and it's not uncovering the entire United States. It's a fairly narrow market niche, and that market niche can be broadly defined as the mid-Atlantic states. So its niche is here, its competitive advantage is low cost, which puts Gabriel Brothers into a cost-focused type of strategy, and that is a strategy of which it's been very successful. Now let's take a look just a little bit further outside of Morgantown, and that being Rolling Rock Beer. Rolling Rock Beer began in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and was, up until just a few years ago, actually 2006, just a local beer of Latrobe and the local Pittsburgh area. Rolling Rock has since been bought by InBev, Anheuser-Busch, the largest beverage or beer distributor manufacturer in the world, and the focus is still pretty much the same with Rolling Rock, whether it's Rolling Rock of yesteryear or Rolling Rock even of today. From the website of Rolling Rock comes this front page, and Rolling Rock, like they did as a Pittsburgh or Latrobe or regional beer, are still marketing it under the same motif as before. Born small town. It's got the small town feel, strong work ethic, soft-spoken gentleness of its people. It's still appealing to a fairly narrow focus of people who are maybe true to their roots or true to their community, and at the same time Rolling Rock does not deep or even offer discounts on its beer. It's a premium beer. And so then I guess it should be fairly easy to see where Rolling Rock falls. It's different. Okay, it's a differentiated product. The competitive scope is to really a narrow market because it's still towards the small town consumer or the greater Pittsburgh area, even though the beer is now sold, and I know down in Florida, other parts out west, but it's still towards a narrow marketing niche that likes that kind of beer or likes that kind of feel. So it puts it into kind of a differentiation focus type of strategy, and Rolling Rock has been very, very successful in this endeavor. The third of the four companies I'm going to cover is Hartman Luggage. And Hartman Luggage, if you don't know, this is a signature piece of their luggage right here. It's made, well, it looks of tweed, and everyone can pick up or identify a piece of Hartman luggage from 10 turnstiles in an airport away. They have a very distinct look, and they carry with them a degree of prestige, kind of like clothing, kind of like purses and handbags. So Hartman has a very distinctive look, has a very distinctive following, and they command a very premium price. For example, they have a mobile garment bag which sells for $1,000. They don't offer discounts on this, and you and I all know that garment bags are also sold at a fraction of this price by other manufacturers, but not at the same prestige level in the Hartman league of luggage. They also sell business briefcases as well, of which I've had several over the years that have been given to me as gifts, and I'm sure the person who bought them paid a great deal of money for them. But again, the prestige is inherent and or perceived in everything that Hartman has to offer. So on this grid, where would you say that Hartman is coming from? I think we said, they are really truly different. They can command $1,000 or more for different bags, briefcases, etc. And their competitive scope is global. And so that puts them not into a narrow market, but clearly Hartman is a differentiator and does very, very well in its pursuit of that strategy. So I guess you know where the fourth leads to by process of elimination. JetBlue, a company I flew with just a few weeks ago. My plane ticket was $49 each way, and it wasn't. No one else was even close to this price when I did my internet search for prices when I wanted to get to a city in the northeastern part of the United States. Straight from their annual report comes the following text. I'm not sure which format or resolution you're able to view this video in. Maybe you can read this, maybe you can't. It doesn't really matter. I do want to go over a couple of the big things that JetBlue talks about in its annual report. It delivers its service at a super low cost. It doesn't say low price, even though we know it's low price because it's $49 each way or $69 each way, but it is different or lower cost different from the rest of the industry. Okay, JetBlue does this. It recognizes that fuel is the single largest operating cost of its jets, and one of the ways it gets the most efficiency out of these jets from a fuel perspective is that they have one of the youngest fleets in the industry and a very environmentally friendly fleet as well. They also work on reducing aircraft fuel burn, single engine taxis, etc., ground power units, airport gates. They have a disciplined approach also to fuel hedging, which without mincing words, is a way they can manage their fuel costs. They go on to talk about how they've worked with full-time employees per aircraft, just being a very streamlined aircraft company compared to the others that are in the industry. Their cost structure is streamlined, super low, and they sell prices based on tickets. Although I got to admit, their aircraft are very, very nice, very new, and offer accoutrements that you can't get on a number of its competitors, including XM Sirius Radio, TV viewing at your seat with a wide variety of channels. It's a pretty good experience, pretty good value, but it also should be pretty clear that JetBlue has a broad target. It targets most of the United States, at least in the hubs that it sells. The low-cost perspective should be no secret, and JetBlue is truly pursuing a cost leadership strategy. So, in summary, just know that this grid can be used by any organization as a fairly simple tool of trying to decide what's its most appropriate strategy, or what the most appropriate strategy might be from the generic strategy standpoint, if you can simplify it down to just 4 strategies. What is the competitive advantage? Is it cost or differentiation? What is the scope? Is it niche or is it broader? And when you do that, you can help determine or decipher strategies for various organizations that might work. And the whole point of this video was to give you examples of strategies for organizations where they work very well.